Sorry I haven't done an introduction for this video. It's because I'm interrupting the usual schedule of uploading chapter by chapter because this is just a little bit of a prediction from me, so enjoy! I have to put down a theory because I'm scared by the time I get to the end of the book the theory is going to be proven wrong, so I kind of want to say it now. And this theory has been brewing along for, it's not like a grand ultimate theory, it's just a theory regarding the jewellery that has been sent to Mariota. If I am completely wrong, I am so glad that I am about to provide a lot of entertainment for everyone who has already read the books. And for those that haven't read the books and are just reading along with me, what do you think? And I got this idea because I have this self-care routine where every time I finish a chapter of Game of Kings, I allow myself to read the Now You've Done It blog, and then I watch or listen to the YouTube of the Lyman Book Club by Drink the Halo, which is another, it was just like a Lyman book club, and they film themselves discussing it. I unfortunately don't have anyone I can discuss this in real life, so I have to just do it to you. But part 8, Lyman Book Club part 8, I'll link it above and you can have a look at it. But right at the end of that video, they're talking about a theory of the jewellery that is sent to Mariota. And I have previously been saying that I've always thought this was fishy because if Lyman was going to send jewellery to Mariota, they would be red, which is to reflect what he said to Mariota when he first met her on the stairs of his childhood home, which was middle of page 21, where he says, "I should dress you in red, personally." And he's looking at her critically. He would have sent red jewels to Mariota. So there are multiple issues with this now that I've been thinking about it. Well, they were talking about the brooch, actually, where the brooch went from Andrew Hunter's hands, where he was going to give it to his mother, then he went to Patty Liddell's place to have it changed, and then it was sent to Mariota in the mysterious mail that she got, and then Mariota gave that back to Lyman eventually when she was captured by Lyman, not captured by Lyman, but when she was with Lyman, Lyman took back off her, then Lyman gave that exact same brooch to Agnes Aries for her as her wedding gift. But I'm not convinced they were actually the same brooch, because when Mariota received the jewellery, which is page 190, I have been dog-earing all of these pages to prepare for this. When Mariota got the brooch, it was described as a handsome ring brooch, inscribed Nostra et Tudis a vossa Dicia, and there was nothing else to betray its origin. So it doesn't actually say that that brooch is the one with the angel heads and the onyx and the diamonds. It just says that it's a ring brooch. Later on, when Mariota was with Lyman, it is indeed described as being a diamond brooch, but not the angels or the onyx. The only time it's ever been described as angels and onyxes is when Lyman gave it to Agnes, which is top of page 302, and when Andrew Hunter first gave it to his mother, which was page 127. So that's a bit weird, but then Andrew Hunter did take it to Patty Liddell to get rid of the initial letters H and D, and then changed it to the Nostra et Tudis a vossa Dicia that then Mariota received. I don't know, did he do that? Either way, the theory came up that if that is the same brooch, which seems weird because it wasn't exactly described as the same, but potentially on purpose, if that is the same brooch, then it makes sense that Andrew Hunter is sending the jewellery, because how else would they have changed hands from Andrew to Lyman for Lyman to then send it to Andrew Hunter, unless they're working together, which also makes no sense because, as I have just read in chapter 4, Lyman is captured by Andrew Hunter, so that seals that deal, as I don't think that they are working together. So Andrew Hunter is sending the jewellery to Mariota. That is the theory that the part 8 of the Lyman Book Club came to the conclusion of, which I'm in agreement of, but I want to take this one step further, because they were saying, why is he sending the jewellery to Mariota? And they came up with ideas of maybe Andrew really likes Mariota, like loves him and wants Mariota for himself and is trying to pull him away from Richard. Maybe it's something to do with the death of Andrew Hunter's older brother, who we know nothing about, other than Catherine Hunter, his mother, much prefers the older brother. And did Lyman have some hand in Andrew's older brother's death? which is why Andrew is out for Lyman. I think that's not far enough. I've been thinking about this because there's been a number of things that bug me. Two main things that have been bugging me about Andrew Hunter, which I'll go through in a second. One that came up in chapter 1 of part 4, which has kind of sealed the deal. Essentially, Andrew Hunter, he knows Lyman is innocent. He knows Lyman is innocent of the convent crime. And why isn't Andrew Hunter telling anyone about this? Because Andrew Hunter is guilty of something really bad. And as soon as he heard Lyman was back in Scotland, he freaked out because he knows that Lyman is innocent, which means Lyman knows he's innocent, which means Lyman is on the hunt for proof of innocence. And that proof of innocence might somehow implicate Andrew Hunter in whatever he did that was bad. I don't know what it would have been that Andrew Hunter did that was bad, but I think Andrew Hunter has had a hand in something to do with the convent or something to do with leak of information of the Scottish government to England, and has framed Lyman to make himself innocent. That is what I think is going on here. Andrew Hunter is a master actor. He is good, almost as good as Lyman, actually better than Lyman in acting. He is, I think, the Samuel Harvey that Lyman is looking for. And Lyman hasn't yet realized this, but he's onto it because, and this is the one clue that has always been bugging me. The first time when we have Jonathan Crouch, with Lyman's men. Bottom of page 171. Lyman is sort of trying to figure out Andrew Hunter. He hasn't quite figured him out. They've got Jonathan Crouch here, and Lyman has also just recently beat up Andrew Hunter with his beanie on. So Lyman is trying to figure out why Andrew Hunter wants to get to Lyman, and Lyman is surmising, it's not difficult to imagine. First, Sir Andrew is a young man living considerably above his means. Second, I have a price of 1,000 crowns on my head. And third, he paused, and Scott saw his eyes were cold, as in Lyman's eyes were cold. The third reason, Lyman said slowly, is still open to conjecture. So Lyman is not convinced with his first two reasons, and he hasn't yet figured out Andrew Hunter, and has just admitted that out loud. That was the first thing that has always bugged me about Andrew Hunter. I thought initially it was because they were working together and wanted to work together, but now I think it's the opposite. And I've been going through this theory with everything that I can remember. I kind of want to go through and reread the whole book. I've reread so many sections already, it's a bit ridiculous, but everything that I know so far about Andrew checks out with this theory. So his weird relationship helping Will, that checks out because Andrew is super nervous about Lyman and is trying to get people to his side and not Lyman's side. So I bet that he was feeding information to Will that would have turned Will against Lyman when they were talking in the Ostrich Inn. And this is confirmed when Molly said to Lyman that beware of Andrew Hunter, he's smarter than the boy. So Molly is smart enough to realise that Andrew Hunter is up to something. It's also confirmed that Andrew Hunter is mysteriously absent the whole time. Richard is like, I'm gonna go hunt Lyman. He's like neither confirming or denying. He's just kind of separate. And on top of that, he is mysteriously very present when Richard is released from prison, and then basically shoves Richard in the direction of Buccleuch, where they are now making up to get at Lyman. So as soon as Andrew Hunter realizes that Buccleuch is now wanting to get Lyman, he puts Richard and Buccleuch together in the same spot. That is in page, oh man, I haven't doggy-eared that page because I wasn't expecting it. Oh, it's page 306. I opened right on the exact right page. That's so weird. Yep, sorry, I've had to come back and re-film this just to say this. The clarification is that Andrew Hunter is somehow guilty of something bad in his past, and it is in his best interest that Lyman stays guilty because that keeps him being innocent, Andrew Hunter being innocent. So as soon as Lyman is proven innocent, Andrew Hunter is in some trouble, and so that is why he, at every turn he does, he, in a very nice guy kind of way, undermines Lyman. He does it in a way that makes people so unassuming of Andrew Hunter, and that is his game. Richard is released from prison, and Andrew literally says, "Richard, tell me, are you sick of Buccleuch and his outrages, or could you stomach a rapprochement if I arranged it?" Yes, that's right, Andrew, you are neutrally arranging a meeting between two people who are going to come together to hunt down the person that you want to remain guilty. It is in Andrew's best interest that Lymond is proven guilty and not innocent. So that's why he sent the jewels to Mariota, because he was further trying to implicate Lymond as the bad guy, as the playful bad guy. And we know that Lymond was surprised about those jewels because, as we know from, goodness gracious, have I dog-eared that page? But I remember very vividly the first time he saw the jewel on Mariota, where Mariota's like, "What about the jewels?" He actually goes to look at the jewels and then speaks slowly as he's working this through in his head. If Lymond had sent the jewels to Mariota, he wouldn't have needed to look at the jewels when at the brooch when she showed him. He wouldn't have needed to look at that. He would have just shrugged. But he actually looked at the jewels and then spoke slowly. And every time Lymond speaks slowly, it's just him thinking and surmising and trying to figure out what on earth is going on. Us normal humans, we have to stop to think and like stare into the distance for ages, but Lymond continues to speak. He just speaks at a slower rate and with less flowery language than his usual. And then to seal the deal, and this is what started everything, at the beginning of part 4, chapter 1, which I have got to find, just after Lymond has been captured and he's riding to Thrieve next to Andrew, Hunter and Will, there is a part where, and just before Matt dies, so yeah, this is page 339, Lymond is just like bleeding at his shoulder. Oh, it'd be his left shoulder, because yeah, he was stabbed with Will's right hand, so it's his left shoulder that's injured, and he's just chilling, and Andrew is so Andrew said something at last which aroused the man between them. Lymond looked at him suddenly, and the flexible mouth curled. "Other than apologising for not being Asmodeus, what can I do?" And then Hunter's face changes from red to white at that point. And I read this, and I did not understand why Andrew Hunter's face went from red to white. And I knew when I read this on page 339 that I have missed something, and it bugged me the whole chapter until I then looked at this book club, and I had to circle back to this, and now this is sealing the deal. So Asmodeus, or Asmodeus, Asmodeus as we say, in Dungeons and Dragons, this is where I know Asmodeus from. He is like the Lord of the Nine Hells, the father of lies. But actually that name is stolen from the real Asmodeus, who is, it says here, he is in Christian lore, Asmodeus is mostly known for being the primary antagonist that disrupts the marriages of Sarah. And he's classified as the demon of lust. So that's different to what we get in Dungeons and Dragons. So it depends on which lore you look at it. But I think the Asmodeus that Lymond is referring to is the Asmodeus who is as portrayed in the Book of Tobit, where he disrupts marriages. And so what's happened here is that Lymond is basically saying to Andrew that, "I know that you are the one that sent the jewellery." And Andrew has gone completely white in the face, because Andrew knows that if Lymond has already figured out that he was the one sending the jewellery to Mariota, then that means that Lymond is only one step away from then thinking to himself, "Oh, if Andrew was sending that jewellery, was that just because Andrew was trying to make me look bad because he hates me, or is there a deeper motivation here?" And we don't get anything more on this as to what Lymond is thinking about Andrew Hunter, if he's made any deeper theories. At this point, Lymond is still wanting to find Samuel Harvey and get to Samuel Harvey. Because, I mean, if we break this down, Lymond is apologising for not being Asmodeus. Like, he's apologising for not trying to steal Mariota away. Hence, he is then... the subtext is, "I didn't send the jewellery, I know about the jewellery, you were the one who did it, weren't you? And it's interesting because the line before that, then Sir Andrew said something at last which aroused the man between them. I kind of want to know what Andrew said there, because he said something there that implicates himself potentially. Anyway, maybe it doesn't matter. I've also commented on Catherine Hunter. What is the point of Catherine Hunter as a character, apart from like a little bit of comic relief? And one of the main things that she has done is be very insightful. Like, she figured out that Mariota was pregnant, I think, before even being told that Mariota's pregnant. She just kind of knew, I think. Is that correct? But she also has this intuitive dislike of her second son, Andrew. We never really get a reason for that other than he's just not the gentleman and not the manly man. And I thought that was all it was, but I think Catherine Hunter has a very astute intuition of character, and I think Catherine Hunter knows that her second son is just a little bit rotten on the inside. It checks out for me. I don't think I like Catherine very much still, but I mean, Andrew's not all bad because he looks after his mother and gets her jewelry, and she seems to have a pretty damn good life, so he's not all bad. I think Andrew just has a lot of guilt and fear of his past actions coming to light now that Lymond is back. Andrew Hunter, I kind of want to go back to the scene now, if we have that scene where Andrew learns that Lymond is alive. Like, when do we get that scene? Oh, now I just want to reread the whole book. Anyway, so that is my theory at the moment. I just wanted to put this out there because it could be proven wrong by the end of the book, and that's completely fine. Speaking of D&D, of Dungeons and Dragons, if you know what I'm talking about, picture this. Lymond as a dungeon master. Just think about that for a little bit. Would you be scared to play? Yeah, I would be. He would be the best dungeon master in the world. More on this later.